the sensitive stuff off the back. I don't think we're going to unload it today just because of the rain. We're not going to soak it wet, so we'll do that in the next video. So thanks for joining us. Welcome back. We've unloaded the Argentinian G Wagon and we've got it up onto the ramps, and the first thing I was going to do was to put some oil down the bores, which we attempted to do, but taking the spark plugs out, they came out looking a little bit worse for wear. So there's a picture here of what you can see. So two of the plugs were quite corroded on the end. So before I put the oil into the bores, I thought I'd just put the camera in. There's some pictures here as well. Now, I didn't intend to do that. This camera didn't have any batteries in it, so I wasn't going to film it. It was just going to get it ready. But immediately realised that the inside of the engine and the bores on two of the cylinders are really badly rusted. So we haven't even tried to turn the engine over. There just isn't any point. We're going to take the engine out and we're going to send it off to a machine shop, and we'll have it rebored and we'll have new pistons. Probably seeing this picture here, that sort of white fuzzy stuff is the top of the pistons where they're corroded really badly, and that sort of red stuff over here on the edge, that's actually rust in the bore. So Ashley and I are starting to take the front of the G Wagon apart, and we're going to have to take the engine out. So I'll be taking that to the machine shop, hopefully, fingers crossed, tomorrow. The rest of the vehicle's looking pretty good. I've started some work this evening in and around the back end of here. So we'll open this up, and inside I've been working on the fuel tank. So I'll take the cloth out. I've taken the fuel sender out, but down in there is absolutely full of gunk. We took the fuel out and it's brown like gravy. Oof. Fortunately, it hadn't completely dried out. Interestingly, on this fuel tank, there's no drain on the bottom of it. On the Peugeots that I've used before, they always have a little drain plug at the bottom, but it doesn't have it on this. So I don't know if that's original or not, so I'll have to ask some questions about whether this is a replacement tank or not. So this tank's got to come out, it's got to be sent away. We're going to have it bathed in acid, basically, to eat all the gunk up outside of it. We'll have it lined with sort of an epoxy resin, and then it'll be baked. Now, what's great about these tanks is the fuel's taken up through the top, through the fuel sender unit. I haven't looked at that at the moment, it's over on the desk. So it won't have gummed up, hopefully. Any of that sediment's now been sucked into all the lines. But we will replace all the lines anyway. But it just means that the gunk stayed in the tank and we can sort of clean it out. Looking down the bores, we found that there was corrosion. Top of the pistons were corroded. I think you saw that a little bit earlier in the video. So there's no option really but to take that engine out and have it rebored, have new pistons put in, full new gasket set, and have a look at the engine, including sort of pressure testing the head, etc., to find out if there's any other sort of gremlins in the works that we can tidy up whilst the thing is out. So I'm taking that down to the engineering shop today, so I'm going to drag it down in one of my jalopies. We'll find out what that is in a moment, but for now let's just have a quick look around the vehicle now the engine's out, and we found a few other things that we need to have a look at. So let's dive in. So to start with, as you can see, there's quite a bit of wear in that thrust bearing in there, and rest assured it absolutely screams when you turn it around with your finger. So we need a new thrust bearing. Everything else looking pretty sound. We've got maybe a little bit of fraying in some of the wires over here. We might need to look at least putting new sheaths over the wires, if not replacement. We've got quite a bit of rust up in some of these pipes. I think that's the clutch pipe there. Probably the flexi has probably gone between the two. So all the rubbers definitely we're going to have to replace on it. Over on the wing as well, we found quite a bit of rot that's going on. I don't want to push it too hard, probably finger will go through it. So certainly this front wing needs a bit more attention to it. Underneath there's something to get in there. It's all pretty sound, it's all there, but it just needs a bit of tidying up. We've obviously got some sort of leak over on this side, probably oil coming out of one of the sills. So we'll have a look at what's going on. Let's take you around the back. So we've started taking apart the rear wheel here. And we found, first of all, that the shoe's got uneven wear in it. So see that band running through the middle? That's impacted on the actual shoes themselves, which are in great shape. There's loads of meat left on them, so we can reuse those. This is the rear wheel cylinder, and as you can see, it's absolutely, let's get the light in there, full of gunk. So that's no good. We'll get that replaced. So this gives us a good chance to clean this up. Now, there's no oil leak from the back, so it looks like the sills are quite good on the rear axle, but again we need to get in here and start having a look at some of these flexible pipes, because I think they're sort of on their last legs really, and we wouldn't want any sort of brake failure, because that's the one thing we're trying to avoid. You will notice the fuel tank is missing. That's now off with the refurbishers to have a look at that. Here we are. Everything that's come off of the engine is laid out. We'll have to rebuild the carburetor, clean it out. Water pump, hopefully we can rebuild that. The other elements, certainly we probably might replace the distributor. We'll see, just because I think I want to get rid of that casing and those. When I say get rid of, I mean put into storage to stay with the vehicle, but we'll try and get some more civvy leads and plugs involved there that help the sparking. The filler neck here wasn't too bad actually. I was worried that it was going to have some modicum of corrosion in there, but it's actually in good nick, so we're okay with that. Let's just think thorough clean on there. We've got some belts in here, and as you can tell by the shape of them, it's been sat there for a while, so these belts aren't any good now. We'll get those replaced as well. Starter motor, I don't know. We'll do a bench test on that, and we'll do a bit of a light greasing. If it doesn't work, I've got a chap that can rebuild these, and he's amazing at it. And there is the exhaust. It's got a bandage on it. I think it needs a bandage because it's not very well. It is in a bit of a manky condition. You can buy those. You can get steel ones online, but looking quite closely at them, it seems to have a very different front pipe and rear pipe, even though it's stating that it's for a Mercedes G Wagon of this year and a petrol version. So I don't really know what's going on. I think the safest bet is to stop us having to buy a system and then spend time readjusting it and re-welding it. Let's just have it made from the outset. So there is a company near here that makes exhausts, so we can take this along as a pattern and say, can you knock one up? And let's, while we're at it, make it out of stainless steel, get it to last a lot longer. Right, so let's go and get the jalopy out, see if you can work out by the noises I'm making what vehicle I'm trying to get out. So first of all, choke. Means it's petrol. Let's see if we can get it started. Right, there we go. Take up the revs slowly, get that choke in. About halfway. Here we are, 1962 Hotchkiss M201. Looks like a Willis Jeep, doesn't it? But it's not. Under the skin, maybe. The French bought the license to carry on producing these after the war, so you still can see these in service right up to about the 80s with the French Army, and they were released into big auctions mid to late 80s, and I happened to be over there and bought this from the French government in the 90s actually. Been in storage for a long time. We'll have a quick look at it. So this is still the original number plate, 2210460. That, I can tell, means it's never been rebuilt, was in the army and was manufactured in 1962. That's great. We've got Kleber tyres, which are the superior tyres in my eyes, certainly for road use. They're much more comfortable than the bar grits. We've got our mounting post on there. This is the flaming grenade. People say it's an octopus, but it's not. This is basically a sign that is used by the army, and the number 1 in the middle designates the order that it goes on to, both aircraft and railway carriages. So that's sort of like an early weight designation to a certain extent, i.e. saying it's sort of under a ton. In here, set of dials. You can see here's one plate. There's no rebuild plate because this one came straight out the factory, went straight into storage, and I happened to be at an auction. Now, yeah, it's got 35,000 kilometres on it. I'd put all those on. When I got it, it had 200 kilometres from new on it. So yeah, it's been a good bit of kit. I've had the canvas made up because the original just fell to bits. It'd been in the sun or in storage, and just as we were putting it up and taking it down, it just absolutely disintegrated. Moving all the way through, and then we've got a video about the T3 trailer. You've probably seen this one before. Inside of there is the Mercedes engine, and so we're going to take all of this kit and caboodle down to the engineering work. So that is, well, it's over an hour driving to get there, and then about an hour coming back. Let's go for a drive. Let's hope the petrol prices haven't rocketed too much, because I know they're on the rise at the moment. And let's see if we get there in one piece, fingers crossed. One piece, Jeep did really well. No hiccups, apart from a learner driver pulling out in front of me on a roundabout. Just, what are people up to? So that was a bit of a moment. But we're here now, let's get unpacked and get this engine handed over. The engine's been now ingested into Hamlin's, and they're going to be working on it. They do a fantastic job down here at Bridgewater. So it looks like at the moment it's going to have it stripped, and they'll give me some information about what works are needed on it, and then we can sort of make decisions about where we move from there. But so that's in now, and that's for them to work on. So time to get home.